You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? For those looking for a little anti-Christ action, Episode 4 covers the first Omen, the prequel to the 1976 film The Omen. Amber and Scott discuss the perfectly normal topic of being impregnated by a demon. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
You find yourself in the unique position.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do with it?
Put yourself in my place.
What would you do?
Oh, well, put yourself in my position. This doesn't sound too good.
What would you do?
How do you want to handle this?
What would you do? Put yourself in my shoes, would you?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Just put yourself in their shoes.
Now it's your turn.
So I got drugged to see the first Omen.
Drugged as in someone.
Well, kicking and screaming.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. So I should.
So not the first Omen, but the first Omen.
Yes.
For anyone who might be confused.
Yes.
The first Omen, which is really probably, I don't know how many Omens there are in the series.
Yeah. So just as a disclaimer here, I've not seen any of the other Omen movies, so I can't speak of anything from that. So all of my experience came from this one, and whoo boy, this will be a fun one to throw ourselves in the middle of.
Yes, so the first Omen. When a young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, she encounters a darkness that causes her to question her own faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate. Of the Omen films, the first Omen starts when Damien is probably around 6 years old or so. So this gives us the backstory as to how Damien was born.
Yeah.
Spoilers. There's probably going to be some spoilers here.
Yeah.
We apologize in advance if we let anything slip, so just be forewarned.
I don't know how much. I mean, I think if you are familiar with the Omen series at all, like, I don't think much of what I'm going to say is going to be too much of a spoiler.
I was familiar with it, but I didn't expect the film to be what it was or to turn out the way it did. So,
well, it's fine. I don't know how much we actually need. I mean, like, we're putting ourselves into their position.
We put ourselves in real life in what we would do if we were one of the characters or faced with the circumstance. So
what would you do if you were fucked by Satan?
Yeah. So wow. So, I mean, there's so many different angles we could take for this. What if you were the one giving birth to Satan? What if you were Satan? What if you were in the church and you were cultivating an environment where you wanted Satan to be born to show darkness to the earth so people would flock to the church?
Yeah.
A lot of different ways.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, I can't say that I would react a lot different from the main character, who basically, as soon as she found out what the hell was going on.
She was a new nun waiting to take her vows.
Yeah, she was like, I got to get the hell out of here. This is not where I want to be. And oh man,
well, I went to parochial school, and I have to say we never encouraged the birth of the Antichrist so people would fill up the pews at church. So that's my take on it. I always wonder with all of these films, because we also saw a similar theme in the film Immaculate, where you have a nun who is put in the situation of bringing evil into the world so the church can be the great hero in the story.
I did realize those two movies seem to be
very similar.
Fairly similar in nature.
And this never came up in our classes when I went to parochial school of how to give birth to the Antichrist or how to make the church look good.
Yeah, I spent quite a few Sundays in mass myself growing up, not parochial school. Yeah, this one, I don't feel like this one was ever covered.
It makes you wonder about this faction of the church that seems to be operating in the shadows in dark underground caverns to plot and manipulate science and medical health and all of that to create environments where the Antichrist can be born.
Yeah, the church, specifically the Catholic Church, they take a beating in films for
they
being...
They take a beating in real life, too.
Well, that's... I mean, obviously, there has been plenty of the priest sex scandals, which I don't think we hear about so much anymore, but obviously that's because we heard plenty about them when they were a thing.
Yeah, they have better PR now. I can say these things as a confirmed Catholic, non-practicing. So I can bash. You can bash a group if you're part of them. That's the rule, I think.
I'm trying to remember if I actually went through confirmation. I think I did.
Do you have a confirmation name? That might be a good indication.
Maybe I didn't. Maybe I was about to.
So you were a confirmation school dropout? Confirmation school dropout.
Yeah. Well, I also was late to my first communion.
And you've been late to everything since.
I did first communion when I was in 4th grade. And so
Isn't that usually like a second grade thing?
It is. It's 2nd grade. And I actually got put into Sunday school with the 2nd graders because of that, which given who I am in general, I'm usually I'm batting up, not down. So it was kind of real interesting, especially my brother who often was batting down and not up, to be in the same class with him. He loved that one. Oh, he got a kick out of that. But yeah, obviously, when you get into things like the church, all it takes is a few bad apples to give the entire thing a bad name. It does make me wonder, are there some truly dark sects of the Catholic Church that, I don't know, I don't think they're trying to birth the Antichrist type evil, but...
Well, remember when we saw The Exorcist, the remake of The Exorcist a couple months ago, and you had the priest who wanted to come in and do an exorcism, but then the church said, no, you're not allowed to do this. But unfortunately, the rebel priest did, and that has dire consequences.
Yeah, well, it definitely did for him, for sure. So, I can't believe that there's a sect like that truly in real life.
Makes you wonder.
I'm not an Illuminati type guy. I don't think there's some new world order out there that's controlling.
You don't have a desire to go get some pizza? Pizzagate?
Oh,
Illuminati.
Pizza.
Okay, anyway.
That's, yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of stuff gets sensationalized, obviously, from movies. It makes you wonder, but doesn't make me wonder that much.
Well, I think this also, too, as a guy, you're likely not going to be put in the position of carrying the Antichrist. Now, I can tell you, since I am capable of giving birth with the current circumstances as they are, I would not be happy to have the Antichrist in my womb. And I would likely change that. I would not want to be mom to the Antichrist.
I could be wrong. I don't think Trump's mom is still alive to be able to tell us what that's like.
Okay, let's leave politics.
Sorry, I get political sometimes. But it is interesting that it is a political thing. It's rising to politics and stuff. There are some parallels for sure. I don't think, obviously, not intentional, since the Omen movie is older than I am. But
no, it's a great franchise, and I think this was a really good prequel when you find out how Damien, if I recall correctly, one of the first scenes out of the Omen is Damien riding his big wheels through the house, and to find out what had to happen to actually give birth so there was a Damien was interesting. And it's, I think about, if I had been in that church and saw what was happening, would I be in a situation where I would speak up and advocate for this woman who was being impregnated? Because it seemed like her friend didn't, that the main character, she had a friend, and who was her friend throughout the movie up until she was giving birth to the Antichrist, and then the friend was all on the side of the church, and that friendship didn't seem to exist anymore. But
yeah, and that becomes an interesting point. What if you are main character adjacent? You're one of those friends. Are you going to rebel against the church to be with your friend, or are you going to basically play the fit-in role?
Yeah, I'm always, anti-establishment in situations like that. So, I always try to be on the side of right, not might. So I certainly, if I had seen my friend being impregnated and giving birth to the Antichrist, I certainly would have come to her defense. But it was, I hope to not be in that situation, either giving birth to the Antichrist or having a BFF who is with Damien on board.
Yeah, this is one of those that certainly it's out there enough that it's obviously not something that you're going to be really thinking, well, what would I do if I happen to be in that situation? But
well, I think my final words on this subject would be, if you want to become a nun, thank you for your service. And, just wear that iron girdle and protect your private parts so you don't get inseminated while you sleep.
Yes. I would say doing that is definitely a habit you don't want to get into. Okay.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.